Hey guys, welcome back to the Division 3 Diaries podcast. We are finally back with the lovely Emily Miller. Why don't you introduce yourself, Emily?
All right, hi, I'm Emily. I'm a sophomore on the Penn State Harrisburg volleyball team. I'm a right side, and I'm from Spring Hill, Florida.
Florida Penn State. What a pipeline right there.
Yes.
Obviously you guys had an absolutely incredible season, over 20 wins. Not many teams, even the top 25 teams can say that. But overall, obviously not the way you wanted the season to end, but nonetheless, an incredible season to look back on, especially with some of those big wins. But if you could just reflect on the season, kind of like what are some of the highlights that you remember from the season?
Yeah, I mean, this was the first time our team had ever gone to our conference championship. I know we joined the United East a couple years back, and they've been doing some revision there, but being able to just get there for the first time was awesome. 20 wins was the first time our team had ever gotten that, most wins in a season for our program. So just being able to compete really highly, beat really good teams, I think that was really awesome for us.
I mean, United East is probably one of the harder conferences to make the title in, especially since so many teams get into playoffs and there is so many teams in the conference. I mean, you look at some of these other conferences, they'll have like seven or eight, maybe six teams. Um, but United East having over 10 and having what is it like 9, 11, 12 make it to playoffs is it's a
Yep.
really hard task. Obviously, Gallaudet not being there this year was a big difference, but that doesn't short you guys nonetheless. That incredible season. Even though you did lose in the championship, I mean, you can't knock St. Mary's for what they did, but regardless, incredible season. And speaking of the season, you guys had, in my opinion, two massive wins over Marywood, who also had an incredible season, and then obviously Lancaster Bible during the regular season was a big one, setting you guys up for your seeding. As I had Lancaster Bible making it to the final this year. Um, so I think those two wins were fairly big for you guys. But if you could just reflect on either one of those games, I know you had a fairly decent game in both of them. Just kind of the energy around it, especially I'd say that Lancaster Bible game being conference.
Yeah, I mean, us, like, Bible is one of those schools that you take, like, we go into season, like, we really want to beat Bible, St. Mary's, Gallaudet. Like, those are some of the top teams in our conference. So I think going in, we're away at their gym. They always have crazy big energy, their student sections, very present, very loud there. So I think being able to take the fifth set from them was fantastic. We changed a few things around. Normally on my right side, we switched some rotations. I played some outside. We had a new setter come in. Like, we had a lot of things, trying new things, and I think that throwing a lot of new things at them that they hadn't seen from us yet was awesome. Especially because my freshman year we didn't play them at all. We didn't play them regular season, and we didn't see them in the conference championship bracket. So I think being able to take that from them after not playing them for a minute was awesome. And then as far as Marywood goes, um, we went in. Obviously, Toby, one of our setters, she transferred from Keystone, where so many of those Marywood girls had gone with her. So that was kind of her get back game. So we're on the bus, we're getting there, we're talking, we're like, Toby's like, I really want to win this, we're gonna go. And I think being able to take, it was a lot of big swings, and I know our serving pressure was really good then too. So I think having all of that was really awesome.
I mean, both games were absolutely incredible. And like you said, I mean, I was not aware of the Lancaster Bible situation, which is fairly unique with the conference situation. But kind of talking about conference, you guys basically steamrolled conference. There's no better way to put it. Even taking a set from the defending champs there in Gallaudet, who had, I think, two All Americans this year. So nothing to be short of. But I mean, speaking of conference, let's talk about the first two rounds of the playoffs. You guys absolutely dominated both the first two rounds you played in conference play, obviously regular season champs and all that, or not regular season champs, but first seed. But like I said, you guys pretty much cruised through the first two rounds. But kind of talking about the first two rounds, what were like the moments from those games that made you realize, oh shoot, like we got a shot at this title this year, like we can do this?
Yeah, I mean, going in, obviously hearing that Gallaudet was out was big for us, right? They're a great team in our conference. So I think hearing that, we were kind of amped up to be like, okay, we're gonna be the one seed. We got to take that and kind of roll with it. And then we went in. We hadn't lost a set since we lost to Gallaudet until the finals. So I think that huge energy of like we're winning these sets, we're taking these games in three, right? Our coaches were really big on like we have really competitive practices. We play a lot. We work a lot on like new things. We're trying new things. We're going into those last few rounds of finals, and we're running new plays. We're trying new things to get so our scout is different.
I mean, like I said, there's no better way to put it. And I mean, just speaking of the season in general, you guys steamrolled most of your season. Like I'd say over 50%, over maybe even over 65% of your wins were sweeps. What kind of turned you guys up this season? Like what changed? Obviously, it's not like you guys had like a major difference in wins, but regardless, it felt like watching you guys, the energy was different compared to some of the games I watched from last year, and you guys just like I said, throughout the season, turned it up, sweeping many teams, most of the teams you played, um, and even competing against some of the stronger teams. I mean, I know you guys got swept by Franklin and Marshall, who was a team that was receiving votes for a good portion of the season. Um, how did the energy in your gym change, even just during practices from last year to this year, that kind of turned you guys up for the year?
Well, yeah. So, I mean, we brought in a great class of freshmen. We have three freshmen this year who were just fantastic. And then we got a new coach this last season. So our last spring, our prior head coach, she got promoted to assistant athletic director. So she's still on campus, and we'll still see her around. But we got a new coach come in, and she used to coach Division II at Virginia State. Um, so I think having her come in with her assistant coach, right? We have a whole new program coming in. They really turned up the pressure in practice, right? We're practicing really hard. We're mentally challenging ourselves in practice. And I think having that new energy was really, really big for us. And then obviously our Franklin and Marshall game, we competed well. Obviously, I wish we could have won that game. Receiving votes would have been awesome. Um, but we had just played, it was a try match with Drew, who we went to five with. So I think having those back to back, very competitive, very big, high swinging, hard aggressive serves from them, like those kind of games are I think where we learn the most from.
I mean, regardless, win loss, that Franklin and Marshall game is nothing to be shy about. And just going off the season in general, one player I want to get a player perspective on her because obviously you can look at the stats and how incredible a player. But Hannah DeGregory is probably one of the best all around players in the country, and I'm not talking like just the United East, not just Division III. Um, in the country, she does it all. But playing with her, obviously she's a senior this year. How has that benefited you as a player? As like I feel like she's definitely a player that can give feedback, advice, can help out in really any aspect of the game, which is really hard to find, given she does do legitimately everything. But I'm assuming as a senior and doing what she does, she was one of the leaders on your team. How did she kind of motivate and like benefit you guys from this past year?
Yeah, I came in as a freshman. She was a junior with me, and this her senior season, she was one of our captains, and she was my setter. So we ran like a modified 6-2. So when she went back row, I'd come in and she'd set for me. So I think being able to build that connection with her, we were always in the court at the same time, was big, right? We'd be at practice, we're staying late, we're working on reps, we're doing all of these things, and I think being able to get that feedback from her, I think she finished top 10 in the country for triple doubles. Like she did a lot for our team. And so I think being able to talk to her before, after games, right? What's our mindset? What are we doing? Having her at practice, being our captain, her and Kate, was just awesome.
And I mean, for anyone who's listening, if you need a good player to, if you're new to the game, just watch Hannah and what she does on the court. She does incredible, incredible stuff. But obviously Hannah had a great season, but you had a fairly good season yourself. And I know a lot of like, especially from the players I've spoken to, very humble people. But you were probably one of the more consistent hitters in the country, not to give yourself a pat on the back right there. But obviously you had an incredible game against McDaniel. Incredible, incredible game. But looking back on it, like even if it's not the McDaniel game, double digit kills over 500. What's a moment from the season that like playing wise you won't forget? Like a moment where you're like, damn, I'm a college volleyball player. Like I'm doing this.
Yeah, I think a big one, obviously McDaniel, that's the most kills I've had in a game. So I think being able to contribute like that is awesome. But even in those games where I'm not getting the most kills or hitting the highest percent or whatever. I think just our energy as we played throughout the season was great. The Lancaster Bible game, we played them, beat them in five. That was like the most, I think, fun I've had playing and leaving the game. And we're there and we're on the bus home and we got dinner and we hung out. And like, I think that's the most fun I've had playing volleyball in such a long time. And then I'm not going to discount Gallaudet. Like, they have multiple All-Americans. So I think playing right side against Brielle, right? She's hitting when I'm able to block her last season, this season, I'm like, wow, that was awesome. Like she's so good and I'm able to make an impact on the team like that.
I mean, Brielle will go down as one of the best players in Gallaudet. That whole Lummer, Brielle,
Yep.
and Ella Gamble will go down as one of the greatest teams ever, regardless of what they've done. Obviously, all of them getting to compete in Tokyo, which is pretty cool. But you had a very good game against Gallaudet, so that's nothing, especially hitting on someone like Brielle or Lummer. Nothing to be shy about. So you got to give yourself a pat on the back for that. But obviously, you mentioned you have a new coach this season. So and obviously you're speaking highly of both of them. So obviously they've been very good coaches. How have they impacted you as a player, both mentally and physically in the game? As like I said, transitioning from one coach to the next is one of the hardest things to do as a college athlete, especially some of these schools that are seeing new coaches every 2 years. You're coming in as a freshman. Some players are getting three coaches in their 4 year career. So just how in a positive way have they impacted you mentally and physically around the game of volleyball?
Yeah, I mean, I know me and most of my team were really nervous in last spring season, right? We hear our old coach brings us in and it's like, hey, we're getting promoted. Harrisburg's expanding our athletic department. Like, we're getting these new sports coming in. And we were all nervous. I'm like, we don't know who we're gonna hire. So we actually were a big part of the hiring process, right? Penn State has their own rules and stuff, but our like final 3 or 4 candidates, we all got on a Zoom with, the team did, and we're able to talk to them, ask them questions as a player. So we were able to give our feedback to the hiring team. So I think having that was fantastic. So Coach Amanda came in, and she came in later because she was pregnant when she was hired. So Coach Scott, our assistant, he came in preseason alone, right? He took us to our first few games, right? He was our head coach interim. And just both of them, they're very big players coaches, right? They're going to listen to what we want to do, our feedback, how we're feeling about things, how's our mental health, how's our physical health, and they'll actually take that into account, right? We're not feeling good, maybe we'll end practice early, we're going to do some film, we're going to talk about, communicate how we want to do this or that or other things, right? And I think having that kind of feedback where they care about us as people, as students and as athletes was really, really big for us.
I mean, incredible to have a coach like that step it up. I mean, shout out the because obviously I'm at Purchase right now. Shout out Coach Dean Bennett. Obviously, our head coach, Coach Lou, had some health issues, and he really stepped it up this year. So having an assistant coach that can do that in those situations. Shout out Reed Hartle at Russell Sage, who did that for when their head coach Roz was pregnant last year or having her child last year. I mean, incredible, incredible stuff. But obviously, you mentioned like the aspect of the Penn State system. There's so many. Same thing with the Pittsburgh system. So many Penn State schools. Um, and I guess the curiosity for me is there any rivalries there? Obviously, there's Altoona, you guys, Brandy. There's so many Penn State schools out there. Is there any like Penn State beef going on? Obviously, because a lot of you compete in the United East.
Yes, I mean, obviously, we go into any of our Penn State. We went to Brandywine this year, and we're like, well, we gotta be the better Penn State, right? Um, but I know for our conference specifically, right, we compete really highly. So I think being able to go into these other teams' gyms and sweep them is a fantastic feeling. And I know it's interesting coming up with the Penn State system because I know a lot of those other smaller schools are closing, right? I know Mount Alto is closing. I think York is closing soon in the next few years. So I know a lot of those people from those schools will come to Harrisburg, right? Athletes or just normal students. So I think having that kind of mindset going into games of like we want to be the best no matter who we're playing, right? Penn State or otherwise, was big for us.
I mean, being the best is always the achievement, and obviously, you guys were very close, if not were there. St. Mary's, I just had an incredible, incredible game. But well, the last couple of questions. The first one being like, when you guys found out that Gallaudet was drawing out of the tournament, to have their players and coaches go over to Tokyo, and finding out that hey, we're the one seed, like we got to protect this dome. How did that like make you guys feel? Was it like just that, oh yeah, we knew it, we're good, or was it more like a, oh shoot, like we are the one seed, like we just did that? Like how what was the energy with the team, and how was it announced to you guys?
Yeah, it was a little bit of both of those things, I think. We had heard rumors, United East rumors through the mill that there was the Deaf Olympics coming up. So we were like, are they gonna be here? Are they gonna compete but without those players and the coach? Like what's the vibe there? And then we got the confirmation one of those days that they were out, right? So we're like, okay, well we gotta figure out what do we got to do, who we're gonna play, right? Our coach messages us on our group chat and was like, "Hey, can we have a call?" Like, she made a Zoom link for us. We got on at like 8 or 9 at night after one of our games, and she was like, "Okay, got you get dropped, right? They're not gonna be in the tournament. We're the one seed." So we hear that. We're on the Zoom. We're like, "Okay, so who are we playing? What are we doing, right?" So we were all super excited, right? We wanted to go in, be super competitive, and have the best chance at winning a conference championship. So I think it was a lot of like, okay, head to the grindstone. We got to block in and work, and also a little bit of like, this is awesome. This has never happened before, right? We've never been able to go this far. So a little bit of both of those things.
I mean, can't knock it. I remember I wasn't aware the Deaf Olympics was this year. I had my dates messed up. I thought it was next year. So when I saw the posts from the United East, and I was very confused. And I spent a good 20 minutes trying to see if I saw like, oh, Gallaudet's not in the tournament. That's interesting.
Yep.
And I was texting my friends. I was like, I'm very confused, and they're like, just Google it. I was like, you're right. And I was like, oh, so that was like, oh, this is going to be a shakeup. Like the United East obviously is a conference that's really hard to predict every year.
Yep.
But especially with you guys, Gallaudet, Lancaster Bible, all being, and St. Mary's even next year will be super competitive, looking to defend their title. Should be an incredible, incredible conference next year, up there with near the top of competitiveness. Obviously, some of these conferences have the one team that's just going to win day in
Yeah.
and day out. Um, but looking back on it, and looking back at your volleyball life, and how you kind of got more into the game. Everyone has like an idol, especially athletes, growing up that they want to play like, or not even play like, they just want to be like as a person and all that stuff. Who would you say is your volleyball idol? The one player, coach, even family member who has nothing to do with volleyball that really set you up for the kind of player you are today.
Yeah. Well, obviously now looking at like Olivia Babcock, right? Back-to-back player of the year. Watching her game is just fantastic. And then growing up, I went to a smaller club in Land O'Lakes, Club Steel, shout out. And my owner, right, I work with her now. I'll come back and coach my head coach, Coach V. They shaped me as a volleyball person, right? It's not even just who I am, like outside of the court, who I am on the court, all of it, right? We would do team bondings. We're in Orlando. We're flying. We're in Philly. We're in Nevada. Right. We're going around the country trying to win a bid, trying to go to nationals. And I think the mindset they gave me of volleyball is like you're a volleyball player, right? You want to compete highly, but you're also a person outside of that. And like I think even that in like the D3 mindset, right? I play volleyball Division 3 because I love it, right? I know I'm not going to get a bunch of NIL money. I know I'm not going pro. Like I'm doing what I do because I love playing volleyball and I want to get a good education. So I think that mindset comes from growing up and the people around me, my parents, right? All of that.
I mean, that's incredible. And obviously, Olivia Babcock is an insanely talented and amazing idol. Up there with, in my opinion, Catherine Plummer, of the best pin hitters of the last 15, 20 years.
Yeah.
Um, but speaking of Division One, the question that I feel like everyone's been asking is, who do you have winning the
Oh, that
Natty?
game is soon. That's tonight.
That is, yeah, it's in about 3, 4 hours.
Yes, I love an underdog. I'd love to see the Aggies win. I think Kentucky will put up a great fight, but money's on the Aggies for sure.
I am also rooting for the Aggies, but
Yes.
Kentucky, especially that 2021-20 team that won the Natty, incredible,
Yep.
incredible team. Cannot wait to see the Black versus Hudson and DeLay, who probably the best duo in the country.
Yeah.
But thank you for joining the podcast today. It was incredible having you, and have an insanely good holiday.
You too. Thank you so much.
Thank you.